What's going on, ladies, gents, and kids of all ages? It is Eric coming back at you from the Nerd Cave, and I hosted my first tournament. Really, I hosted it in collaboration with a local store because I don't have the space, but I ran the tournament, set it all up, I did all that, I advertised it, I got people in there for it, and Gem Mint Cards in DeLand, Florida was nice enough to let us use the space for free, which was awesome, and we're going to talk about how that tournament went, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before we jump into that, as always, I have to give a big shout out to the Patreons for making the giveaway on the channel possible. You guys are the real MVPs. Could not do any of this without you. We are super close to 3,000 subscribers and another giveaway. So if you haven't had a chance to check out the Patreon, link in the description, help push us over. And if you can't join the Patreon, pressing that subscribe button is a great way to support the channel. But let's go ahead and talk about how our repack draft went. We'll throw a little flyer up on screen to kind of show you the breakdown of the event. Basically, the idea with a repack draft, or some people know them from Magic the Gathering as a cube draft, is you have a certain assortment of cards from multiple sets. You have certain cards that are guaranteed to be in there. In our instance, every player got 5 10 card packs, as opposed to the normal for a draft for Lorcana, which would be 4 12 card packs. So you got 2 extra cards, which let us do a little bit of a different breakdown in terms of rares and uncommons. So there was a little bit more rare cards in the pool, which was cool. Typically in a Magic cube draft in the past, the cube would stay the same all the time, so the player who owns the cube would keep the cube, and players would just pay a little entry and then play for some kind of additional prizing. In this instance, everybody got to keep whatever cards they pulled, which made it really kind of fun because we were able to put some cool stuff into the packs. We did have, as you probably saw on the flyer, 1 enchanted in the pool, which was actually an enchanted treasure mountain. We had a nice gentleman who drove all the way to the store from Tampa who ended up pulling that enchanted actually in his first pack, and it was kind of crazy. We'll talk a little bit more about how the actual draft went in a minute. First, we have to talk about the setup. So I advertised the event. I talked about it with the local league initially, a lot of the players who play there, and I had up to 11 signups pretty quickly. So I was looking at doing a 12-player cap just in order to keep the pool fairly small so that you're not having to look at putting more minimal hits in there across more packs, so more people are getting hits, so you can still do some really cool cards stuck into the packs, give people some really good hits, some really good uncommons in the packs, even like Mr. Smee, Diablo, Chernobog's Followers, Magic Brooms, that kind of stuff, Pete Games referees. So we had some really cool uncommons in the packs. But so I'd advertised it, I had put all of the repacks together, we had some really cool stuff inside of them. We got 11 signups pretty quickly, and then we'd had a tournament a couple weeks ago at that store that we attended, and at the end of the tournament they had some issues with Melee, which is totally normal. It happens to stores all the time. The tournament just wouldn't end. Everybody literally saw it happening. They couldn't get it to end, so they couldn't get the final result, so they had to end up manually tallying it, which isn't just going to happen super quick. They didn't want to have everybody stand there while they did that, so we ended up just saying like, hey, we'll get our prizing next week, like that's fine, you know, you'll figure it out eventually, which is fine. You know, you're talking, it's a local league, you're talking about like a pack or two and like a promo card, so it's nothing super crazy. Their prize support is very good for what they charge, but you know, you're talking about a couple packs. And so a couple people that play there sometimes got a little frustrated, or one of them maybe got a little frustrated that the packs weren't ready and that they were going to have to wait a week, and so they were a little frustrated about it, and so they ended up dropping from the draft. And so all of a sudden I had 9 people, so I'm like, okay, I need to get 3 more people. I have under 2 weeks to do it, so I need to find some more people to join the draft. Then lo and behold, I ended up having 2 more people drop for various reasons. So then I'm like, okay, now I really need to scramble to pull some people together. We were talking about a cap of 12, now I'm down to 7 or 8, and if you know how it works with a repack draft, if you're not selling to cap, you're really losing money. I was already had like $250 worth of cards in the packs and was only charging about $150 total entry for the event. So obviously you're already losing money on the event, so you want to make sure you sell every spot. So this event was largely done for fun, but we had cards from set 1 through set 7, had some really cool cards in the pool. There was a Be Prepared in there, there was a couple Genie Wish Fulfilled, there was some really neat stuff, lots of cool legendaries. Actually, the guy who opened the Enchanted in his first pack, he got an Enchanted Treasure Mountain. There was also a Stitch Carefree Surfer in that pack, so I got past that in the first pack, and I was like, what? Who passed the Stitch Carefree Surfer? He's like, oh, I got the Enchanted. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. You definitely take the Enchanted if you open the Enchanted. So my deck ended up turning out pretty good. I didn't really see any Mr. Smees at our table or some of the more exciting uncommons. I didn't end up pulling really any Diablos or Chernobog's followers or anything that would have helped me with card draw, but I did get 4 Moana, the self-taught sailor, 3-2 for 1, which is really good. The deck was a lot of fun. I did end up in pack 3 or 4 being the one to hit the promo Dragonfire, which was pretty surprising. I distributed packs to everybody else first and took whatever was remaining and ended up getting lucky with that Dragonfire. I didn't pull a single legendary from any of my packs, which is a little crazy, but I did get past 2 legendaries, so there's a couple legendaries in my pool, and I did end up pulling that promo, which was pretty fortunate. It's definitely good. Like I mentioned, losing a bunch of money on the event. We did have an additional $40 worth of prizing. We gave away a Rescue Rangers storage box. If you guys have seen those, I'll see if I can get like a stock photo and put that on screen, as well as a Disney Lorcana League logo pin, the Lorcana logo, and a Tinkerbell one counter, which was also a promo for leagues. We also had 12 league promo cards inside of the packs and randomly inserted into foil slots, so it was definitely super possible to leave with league promos, legendaries, that Enchanted, that promo Dragonfire, so there's lots of cool stuff. And then you're playing, it was $15 entry, and you're playing for around like $40 or $50 worth of league promo prizes. So there was, I think, pretty good prize support for the price. Everybody who attended the event, almost, I think we had 8 out of 11 people who voted on my little anonymous poll who said they would want the event to go up in price for even better prize support, even bigger enchanteds inside of the packs, and if we're potentially able to increase cap in the future, that would even further push the budget. So what I'm kind of trying to do is the budget of the event will go 100% back into what's inside of the prize pool. So say for instance we're looking at doing an 18 player cap, just to give an example, at $20 per player, then we'd be looking at about $360 in potential cards inside of the pack. So you're getting 18 players worth of packs, so there you have a 1 in 18 chance essentially to pull something pretty awesome. With $360 worth, you got to take into consideration some of those dollar uncommons, like everything's costing money to put into these packs, but even you'd be able to put in some bigger rare hits. You'd be able to include some $10, $15, $20 rare hits, some bigger legendaries, and you would be able to potentially still, even within that budget, potentially be able to include even maybe $100 enchanted as opposed to a couple $30 hit cards. You'd be able to maybe go with like $100 enchanted or a couple $50 enchanteds, or do something like that. Get the promo Dragonfire back in the mix. Definitely going to have some more exciting prizing for the next one. But round 1 for me, I ended up losing that game, and the way we were set up with the tables, I had no place to put my camera where I had ended up getting seated, even though I was organizing it, so I probably should have been more prepared, but everything got a little mixed up because when I went to start the event, this was my first time ever using Melee. I was like, round pairings are up, and then I go and look at it, and there's only 4 people paired. Obviously there's 12 people playing this event, so that's a problem. So I looked, and because I had turned on check-in, which I will never do again. If you're ever hosting an event using Melee, do not force people to check in, because if they don't check in, it's going to think that they're not there, and it's only going to set up the round based on the people who are checked in. So I realized what happened. There's an option to delete the round and to kind of go back to the beginning, restart the tournament. And so I did that. I went back and I restarted the tournament, and I went in and I looked and I saw that they were all turned off essentially. I don't remember the exact wording that it showed, but I went ahead and checked everybody in manually, as opposed to having everybody go on their phones and checked in. And once everybody was checked in manually, when I regenerated the round, worked perfectly. I went ahead and I got 6 pairings, 12 people, all good to go. So we were able to start the first round. Ran a timer, 50-minute timer, 3 best of 3 for the rounds. Like I mentioned, I wasn't able to record my first round, unfortunately, and I honestly wish I had the footage, because it was the only match that I lost. And the woman that I was playing against had a super good deck, and she was playing the evasive Pascal, and that was my downfall. I think there was maybe 1 of those in the entire 60 pack pool, maybe 2, and she had one of them, and it's a 3/3. I think it costs 4 or 5, but it's evasive and it quests for 3, and there's just not a lot of answers for that. Like, we had things in the card pool, like we had a couple Dragonfires, so that is a potential answer for the Pascal, and we had some other evasive characters like the Genie Wish Fulfilled. There were some Merlin Crabs, so there was some situational stuff that you could potentially take advantage of if you had some of those other evasive characters that were in the pool. We had things like Pongo. I think there was like some Minnie Mouse Stylish Surfer in there, so there was some really kind of neat cards that you don't typically see in constructed play. We had had some of those big Olafs, the 9-cost Olaf, 6/6 evasive. That's 1 cheaper for each exerted character your opponent has in play, so that's a potential answer to Pascal. But she had the Pascal and just absolutely stomped me with it, because the only removal that I took, and I don't know how I messed this up this bad, or if all the removal was just getting scooped up. I know the guy who is sitting right next to me, who actually ended up splitting first in the final round, he drafted like a ton of removal, and so I think he was just taking all the removal and I was missing all of it. So there were some Fire the Cannons that went around, there were some Storm Rage on, there was more Brawls, Dragon Fires, that kind of stuff. There was a Lady Tremaine in the pool. So anyway, I didn't have any of that. I had the 1 Brawl. Brawl doesn't deal with Pascal, so it didn't do me any good. And I had the Olaf. I had the 9-cost Olaf, but I didn't see that card against her any of the games that we played. I did win 1 game, so we went to game 3. But yeah, she ended up beating me, so I lost my round 1. And then in round 2, I ended up getting paired against a player who has never played before. It was her first time playing in a draft. Super nice girl, and very nice to see her come out. It was nice kind of helping her learn the game as we went, but my deck was pretty good. I just still got stomped round 1, and so I did beat her, and we kind of talked about it. We sat there and just kind of chatted about Lorcana after the round, but that game was a lot of fun. We'll throw some clips on screen as I'm talking. Then going into round 3, I did end up playing against a friend's daughter who, again, her deck was really good. She was also 1-1. She won her first round actually 2-0. Her deck was really cool. She drafted some stuff like Captain Hook Forceful Duelist, which was really good right at the beginning of the game, the 1/2 Challenger 2 for 1. And so she was able to come out pretty hot, but she was still learning the game. She's a fairly young player, so she was doing some things like questing with characters you maybe shouldn't have, open them up to being challenged in ways that wasn't going to be favorable for her. So that was a game that I won, and so at that point I was 2-1. And then going into round 3, I played against her dad, my friend Dustin, who was there. He was also playing a very good deck, and we ended up going to game 2, and we were 1-1. The games were very competitive. He had some really solid cards in his deck. He had a Grab Your Swords, which is really good in a limited format. So Grab Your Swords was messing me up. I had some fairly small characters in my deck. But we had done 2 games, and everybody else was done. The 2 people who were 3-0 had already split the prizing and had left. People were starting to clear out. It was down to just us, and there was like a few people left kind of hanging out. My buddy John was waiting to give me a ride home. We're like, do we really need to play game 3? So we decided not to. We just went ahead and split that game, called it a draw. Probably would have beat him in game 3. Who knows? He might have beat me. I don't really know. But the draft was a lot of fun. Like I mentioned, everybody said they would like to see this type of event happen again. Would like to potentially pay a little bit more of an entry and get some bigger cards in the prize pool, which is definitely something we would entertain. If you're in the Central Florida area, if this is an event that sounds like you'd be interested in joining in on in the future, definitely drop that in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe. It helps us to get promoted to other people who might enjoy this content, and stick around for all those fancy deck techs still coming at you. I have a lot of new deck ideas still rolling around, so there's going to be some more stuff coming at you in the weeks to come. And when you see those toys, video games, and awesome drafts with crazy prizing off in the distance, remember, it is not a mirage. You guys have a great day.